What happens when a prince expects royal treatment, but gets treated like everyone else? Well, you're about to find out, because the Dorian TV Awards just became the stage for one of the most explosive celebrity meltdowns caught on live television. Before we dive into this absolute train wreck, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you think about celebrity entitlement. Trust me, you're going to want to share your thoughts after hearing what went down. The Dorian TV Awards, known for celebrating excellence in television programming, had invited Prince Harry as a special guest to present the award for Best Documentary Series. The invitation came after his recent venture into television production, and the organizers thought his presence would add prestige to their ceremony. What they didn't anticipate was the absolute chaos that would unfold when their protocol didn't align with his expectations. As the cameras rolled live across the nation, host Victoria Sterling, a seasoned television presenter known for her no-nonsense approach, began the segment that would become television history. The golden stage lights illuminated the ornate podium as she prepared to introduce the evening's special guest. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria announced with her characteristic poise, "we're honored to have with us tonight someone who has made significant contributions to the world of documentary filmmaking. Please welcome Harry, Duke of Sussex." Applause filled the auditorium, but something was immediately wrong. Harry's expression shifted the moment those words left Victoria's mouth. His jaw tightened, and you could see the displeasure flash across his face as he approached the microphone. "Thank you, Victoria," Harry began, his voice carrying an edge that viewers immediately picked up on, though I believe there might be some confusion about my proper introduction. Victoria, maintaining her professional demeanor, smiled warmly. "Of course, my apologies. How would you prefer to be introduced?" "Well," Harry said, adjusting his tie with obvious irritation, "I am Prince Harry, Your Royal Highness. That's the proper protocol, and it's how I should be addressed throughout this evening." The tension in the room became palpable. Victoria's smile remained fixed, but her eyes showed a flicker of surprise. "I understand your preference, Harry, but our show follows a standard format where we introduce all our guests by their professional titles or current roles. We treat everyone equally here." Equally, Harry's voice rose slightly, and the cameras caught every micro-expression of his growing frustration. "Victoria, I think you're misunderstanding something fundamental here. I'm not just anyone. I am a member of the British royal family, regardless of my current working status. That title doesn't just disappear because I've chosen a different path." The audience began to murmur, sensing the brewing confrontation. Victoria, to her credit, remained composed. "Harry, with respect, we've had former presidents, Nobel Prize winners, and heads of state on this program. We maintain consistent protocol for all our guests. Tonight, you're here as a documentary producer and presenter." "This is absolutely unacceptable," Harry snapped, his voice now clearly audible throughout the silent auditorium. "Do you understand who you're speaking to? I've spent my entire life being addressed properly, and I won't be diminished by some television show's arbitrary rules." Victoria's professional mask began to slip just slightly. "Harry, I mean no disrespect, but this is the Dorian Awards, not a royal engagement. We're here to celebrate television excellence, and that's exactly what we're doing. Don't you dare lecture me about respect while simultaneously disrespecting me." Harry fired back, his finger pointing toward Victoria. "You invited me here under false pretenses if you had no intention of treating me with the dignity my position demands." The cameras captured everything: the uncomfortable shifting of audience members, the shocked expressions of fellow celebrities in the front row, and most importantly, Harry's escalating agitation. Victoria realized she was in uncharted territory, dealing with a situation no media training had prepared her for. "Harry," she said, her voice taking on a firmer tone, "I'm going to ask you to lower your voice. We're live on television, and this behavior is inappropriate for our venue and our viewers." "Inappropriate?" Harry's laugh was bitter and loud. "What's inappropriate is your complete lack of understanding about basic courtesy and protocol. I came here as a favor to your show, and this is how you treat me." The situation was spiraling completely out of control. Victoria looked toward the show's producers in the wings, clearly seeking guidance, but Harry wasn't finished. "You know what, Victoria? This entire production is beneath the standards I'm accustomed to. If you can't show proper respect for who I am and what I represent, then perhaps I shouldn't be here at all. Harry, please. Victoria attempted to regain control. Let's just continue with the award presentation. Our viewers are here to celebrate television excellence. Our viewers, Harry's voice dripped with disdain. These people tuned in to see me, Victoria. They want to see Prince Harry, not some diminished version you've decided to present. And if you can't deliver that, then you're failing them just as much as you're failing me. The tension had reached a breaking point. Victoria straightened her shoulders, her patience clearly wearing thin. Harry, I'm going to be very clear with you. This is my show. This is our format, and if you can't conduct yourself professionally, then perhaps you should reconsider your participation. That was the moment everything changed. Harry's face flushed red, and his voice became dangerously quiet. Did you just threaten me on live television? Victoria's composure finally cracked. Her eyes narrowed as she stared directly at Harry, and when she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone who had dealt with difficult guests before, but never quite like this. Harry, I didn't threaten you. I stated a fact. This is a professional environment, and if you cannot conduct yourself accordingly, then yes, your participation becomes questionable. The auditorium fell into complete silence. Even the camera operators seemed to hold their breath as they captured what was unfolding. Harry's face went through a series of expressions: shock, rage, and something that looked almost like disbelief that someone was actually standing up to him. You have absolutely no idea what you've just done, Harry said, his voice trembling with fury. Do you understand the gravity of publicly confronting a member of the royal family? This isn't just some celebrity spat, Victoria. This is an international incident waiting to happen. Victoria's laugh was sharp and incredulous. An international incident. Harry, you're a guest on a television awards show, not a diplomat negotiating a peace treaty. Your sense of self-importance is frankly astounding. That comment hit Harry like a physical blow. His mouth opened and closed several times before words finally came out. My sense of self-importance. I am important, Victoria. I represent something. Bigger than this little television show. Bigger than your career. Bigger than anything you've ever accomplished. Really? Victoria's voice was ice cold now. And what exactly do you represent, Harry? Because from where I'm standing, you represent someone who walked away from royal duties but still expects royal treatment. You can't have it both ways. The audience gasped audibly. Someone had just said what millions of people had been thinking, and they said it directly to Harry's face on live television. Harry's response was immediate and explosive. How dare you? He shouted, no longer caring about decorum or the cameras capturing every word. How dare you reduce everything I've sacrificed, everything I've given up, to some petty soundbite for your pathetic little show? Victoria didn't back down. Harry, the only person making this about sacrifice and giving things up is you. We invited you here to present an award, not to have a therapy session about your life choices. Therapy session. Harry's voice reached a pitch that made several audience members visibly uncomfortable. You think this is therapy? This is me trying to maintain some basic dignity while you systematically attempt to humiliate me in front of millions of people. Nobody is humiliating you except yourself, Victoria shot back. Your behavior right now is more damaging to your reputation than anything I could ever say. Harry stepped closer to Victoria, his finger pointing accusingly. My reputation was built over decades of service, of charitable work, of representing the crown with dignity. And you think one television appearance is going to change that? I think this television appearance is showing people exactly who you are when you don't get your way. Victoria replied without flinching, and frankly, it's not a good look. The camera zoomed in on Harry's face, capturing the moment when something inside him seemed to snap. His voice became dangerously quiet again, but this time it carried a menacing undertone. Victoria, you have made the biggest mistake of your career. Do you understand the kind of influence I have? The connections? The ability to make or break careers in this industry? Victoria's eyebrows shot up. Are you actually threatening my career on live television because I won't call you by a royal title? I'm not threatening anything, Harry said, though his tone suggested otherwise. I'm simply pointing out that actions have consequences, and your actions tonight will have very serious consequences. The show's producers were frantically signaling from the wings, clearly wanting to cut to commercial, But Victoria wasn't backing down. "Harry, let me be crystal clear about something. If you think you can intimidate me or threaten my livelihood because I won't bow and scrape to your demands, you've seriously misjudged the situation." Misjudged? Harry's laugh was harsh and bitter. The only person misjudging anything here is you. You think this is some game, some ratings grab for your little awards show, but you're playing with forces you don't understand. Forces. Victoria's voice was incredulous. "Harry, you're not a superhero. You're a man having a tantrum because someone didn't use your preferred title. The only force at work here is your own ego." That comment seemed to break something fundamental in Harry. His composure, what little remained of it, completely shattered. My ego, you sanctimonious, self-righteous broadcaster. You have no idea what it's like to carry the weight of expectation, of tradition, of representing something greater than yourself. And you have no idea what it's like to work your way up in an industry based on merit rather than birthright. Victoria fired back. "But here's the difference between us, Harry. I don't expect special treatment because of my background." Harry's face turned an alarming shade of red. Special treatment. Asking to be addressed by my proper title is special treatment. This is basic respect, something you clearly know nothing about. Respect is earned, Harry, not demanded. Said firmly, and right now, your behavior is earning you the opposite of respect from everyone watching. Everyone watching. Harry looked directly into the camera, his expression wild and unfocused. Everyone watching knows exactly who I am. They know what I've done, what I've accomplished, what I represent, and they know that this pathetic excuse for a television host is trying to diminish that. Victoria followed his gaze to the camera. What everyone watching knows is that they're witnessing someone who claims to represent dignity and service, throwing a public tantrum because he didn't get his way. Harry spun back to face her, his voice rising to near shouting levels again. This isn't a tantrum. This is me standing up for myself against someone who clearly has an agenda. Someone who invited me here under false pretenses just to embarrass me. The only false pretense here, Victoria said, her voice cutting through his shouting, is your belief that the world owes you something because of a title you were born with? The silence that followed was deafening. Harry stared at Victoria with an expression of pure shock, as if no one had ever spoken to him that way in his entire life. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper, but the microphones picked up every word. You've just ended your career, Victoria. You realize that, don't you? Victoria stared at Harry for a long moment, and when she finally responded, her voice was steady and unwavering. Harry, if speaking the truth about your behavior ends my career, then so be it. But I won't be bullied into submission by anyone, regardless of their background or connections. The words hit Harry like a slap across the face. His eyes widened, and for a moment, he seemed genuinely speechless. The cameras captured every second of his stunned expression as he processed what Victoria had just said. You think this is bullying? Harry's voice cracked slightly. I came here in good faith, expecting basic professional courtesy. And instead, I've been subjected to this public humiliation, and now you're acting like you're the victim. Harry, the only person humiliating you is you. Victoria replied firmly. Every word out of your mouth has been about demanding special treatment, making threats, and throwing accusations. That's not the behavior of someone who deserves respect, royal title or not. Harry's hands began to shake visibly. Special treatment? Victoria, I've spent my entire adult life in service. Military service, charitable service, public service. I've earned the right to be treated with dignity, and I've spent my entire adult life working to get where I am, Victoria shot back. The difference is, I don't expect the world to bend over backwards because of what I've done. I do my job, I treat people with respect, and I expect the same in return. Respect. Harry's voice rose again, his control slipping further. You call this respect? You've systematically torn me down, questioned my character, dismissed my achievements, and now you're lecturing me about earning respect. Victoria's patience had reached its absolute limit. Harry, I've done nothing but respond to your increasingly inappropriate behavior. You came here as a guest, and you've acted like a spoiled child who didn't get his way. Spoiled child. The words seemed to physically wound Harry. his face contorted with rage and hurt. A spoiled child? Do you have any idea what I've been through, what I've sacrificed, what I've endured? Harry, everyone has been through things, Victoria said, her voice becoming more compassionate, but still firm. That doesn't give you the right to treat people poorly when they don't cater to your every demand. Cater to my demands? Harry was practically hyperventilating now. Asking to be called by my proper title is catering to demands. This is who I am, Victoria. This is my identity, my heritage, everything I was raised to be. And this behavior is also who you are. Victoria replied quietly, this entitled, demanding, threatening person standing in front of me right now, is this really the legacy you want to leave? That question seemed to hit Harry harder than anything else Victoria had said. His face went pale and his voice dropped. To a whisper legacy? You think this defines my legacy? Harry, your legacy is being written right now, in real time, in front of millions of viewers, Victoria said gently, and right now it's not the legacy of someone who represents dignity and service. Harry looked around the auditorium as if seeing it for the first time. The cameras, the audience, the lights, everything seemed to suddenly overwhelm him. When he looked back at Victoria, his expression had changed completely. This is impossible, he said, his voice breaking. This whole situation is impossible. I can't do this anymore. Harry, Victoria said, her tones softening slightly. Why don't we just take a breath and know? Harry cut her off, his voice becoming frantic. No, I can't take a breath. I can't pretend this is okay. I can't stand here and be treated like this. He began backing away from the podium, his movements erratic and panicked. This is wrong. This whole thing is wrong. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have to deal with this. Victoria reached out slightly, as if to calm him. Harry, please, let's just don't, Harry snapped, pointing at her again. Don't try to fix this now. You've made your choice, Victoria. You've shown everyone exactly what you think of me, and I won't stand here and take it anymore. The audience watched in stunned silence as Harry began pulling at his microphone pack, his hands shaking so badly he could barely manage the simple task. I'm done. I'm done with this show. I'm done with this treatment. I'm done with all of it. Harry, wait, Victoria called out, but he was already moving toward the side of the stage. No, Harry shouted over his shoulder. I waited long enough. I waited for basic respect, basic courtesy, basic human decency, and instead, I got this public execution. He stumbled slightly as he reached the stage steps, catching himself on the railing. The cameras followed his every move as he turned back. One final time, you want to know what this is really about, Victoria? Harry's voice carried across the now silent auditorium. It's about people like you thinking you can tear down people like me just because it makes good television? Well, congratulations. You got your moment. Victoria stepped forward, clearly wanting to de-escalate. Harry, that's not what this was about at all, wasn't it? Harry's laugh was hollow and bitter. Then explain to me why a simple request for proper protocol turned into this character assassination. Explain to me why you felt the need to question everything about who I am and what I represent, because your reaction was completely disproportionate to the situation, Victoria said honestly. A simple correction about titles became threats and accusations and demands for special treatment. Harry stared at her for a long moment, his chest heaving with emotion. Special treatment, there's that phrase again. Maybe you're right, Victoria. Maybe I am asking for special treatment. Maybe expecting basic courtesy and respect is too much. In your world, it's not about courtesy and respect, Victoria replied. It's about how you handle not getting exactly what you want, exactly when you want it. That was the final straw. Harry's face crumpled, not with sadness, but with pure, unadulterated rage. Fine. You want to see how I handle not getting what I want? Here's how I handle it. He ripped the remaining microphone equipment from his jacket and threw it onto the stage floor. The impact created a sharp feedback screech that made everyone in the auditorium wince. I don't need this, Harry declared, his voice now carrying clearly without amplification. I don't need your show, your platform, your audience, or your fake respect. I have spent my life earning real respect from people who matter. He turned and began walking toward the exit, but stopped and looked back one more time. And Victoria, when the dust settles from this disaster you've created, remember that you chose to do this. You chose to humiliate a guest on your show for ratings. You chose to destroy someone's dignity for entertainment. That's your legacy now. Victoria watched helplessly as Harry stormed toward the exit, but she couldn't let his final accusation stand unchallenged. Harry, the only person who destroyed anything here was you, with your own behavior. Harry paused at the exit door, his hand on the handle. For a moment, it seemed like he might turn around and continue the argument. Instead, he simply said, "History will be the judge of that, Victoria, and history remembers everything." With that, he pushed through the exit door and disappeared, leaving behind a stunned audience, a shaken host, and what would undoubtedly become one of the most talked about moments in television awards show history. Victoria stood alone on the stage, the weight of what had just transpired settling over the auditorium like a heavy blanket. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every second of the aftermath, and she knew that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be quite the same again. Well, there you have it, one of the most explosive celebrity meltdowns ever caught on live television. What did you think of Harry's behavior? Was Victoria right to stand her ground, or should she have just given him what he wanted, to avoid the whole situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more unbelievable celebrity stories that you won't believe actually happened. What other celebrity do you think would have handled this situation even worse than Harry did?